There we go. Welcome, everybody. Cannabis News with Joe Klare, November 28th, 2018. Presented, as always, by the Marijuana Times. Check us out at marijuanatimes.org. Of course, you can find this show at marijuanatimes.org. Just click that video tab. And also a bunch of great articles there as well. Today, we're talking about the so-called social costs of marijuana legalization. Also, compliance rates for growers in Oregon, legal growers in Oregon, and also recreational sales in Massachusetts. How is that going? All of that coming up. But first, of course, Cannabis News is brought to you by Nature's Side, nature-side.com, and their organic, all-natural pesticides. Grow safe and poison-free in the state that you are growing in. Don't use banned pesticides. Don't use harmful chemicals. Use safe, organic, natural pesticides. From Nature's Side, nature-side.com, a proud sponsor of Cannabis News. Go check them out. They're awesome. And they'll get you regulatory compliant to grow in the state that you are growing in. So there you go. A very valuable service, to say the least. This first story from marijuanatimes.org by yours truly, the myth of social costs associated with marijuana legalization. Now, of course, you can find this article and check it out at marijuanatimes.org. It's also linked in the description of this video, as are all stories that I talk about. Basically, there was this report from Colorado Christian University, and basically what they're trying to get across, the point they're trying to get across, is there are massive social costs that outweigh whatever tax revenue benefits that come from marijuana legalization. In their words, quote, for every dollar gained in tax revenue, Coloradans, that's right, spend approximately $4.50 to mitigate the effects of legalization. Now, they're very vague about how they come to these numbers, about how they come to placing numbers on the so-called social negative cost of legalization. It's things like, well, if marijuana dependent person has to get treatment, that costs money. That's a social cost. If someone smokes marijuana and they drop out of college, or they're a medical marijuana patient, they drop out of college, or they don't go to college, that's a social cost. The money they would have made in the future is a social cost of marijuana. They take cherry-pick studies and a lot of conjecture and estimates and fanciful thoughts. They climb them, they shove them all together, and they come up with these numbers that dwarf the numbers of marijuana tax revenue. As I point out in the article, first of all, even if we go by these numbers, I don't care what those numbers are. Marijuana users, sellers, growers, they're not infringing the rights of anyone else, so they're not criminals. I don't care what number you put on. I don't care if you say that for every dollar of tax revenue that's brought in, there's $10 million of social costs for marijuana. Put whatever number on it you want. Now, if you're going to say, well, my tax money is going to marijuana treatment or whatever, take that up with the person who takes your money. You spend a lot more on your tax money goes to healthcare for people who eat Big Macs their entire life, or don't take care of themselves, or are overweight. Do we ban overweight people? Do we ban fast food? Do we ban fatty foods? Do we ban trans fat? Do we ban carbs? What do? You have a problem with whatever you think you're paying for, take it up with the people who make you pay for these things. But don't blame marijuana legalization. Another great thing about these costs, these so-called costs they put on marijuana treatment and cannabis use disorder, the number of the costs has actually gone down since marijuana has been legalized recreationally in Colorado. These costs, they even say in the report, these costs precede legalization, but they're saying that these costs are the effects of legalization that need to be mitigated. So they say they need $4.50 for every dollar in tax revenue to mitigate the effects of legalization. Then they go on to say, well, these numbers that we made up, they're not even really part of legalization. They were spending $36 million for quote unquote cannabis use disorder people before recreational marijuana was legalized in Colorado. So it's another example of prohibitionists are just swinging wildly at this point. And you really can't blame them. I mean, they're getting destroyed on pretty much every front. 2020 is already shaping up to be a pretty brutal year for marijuana prohibitionists as well. So they're going to swing with what they got, and well, they don't have much, so that's what we get. We don't have much, and that's all you got. You throw it out there and see what happens. This next story is from Oregon.gov, the state of Oregon. They had basically they went around to growers to find out if they're regulatory compliant. They conducted 354 inspections across the state with particular focus on Southern Oregon. The Oregon Liquor Control Commission, who also oversees marijuana, found that 73% of outdoor producer licenses did not have any deficiencies or potential violations. Of the 95 licensees with discrepancies, 41 of the licensees have potential violations that could lead to cancellation of their licenses. That represents about 12% of the outdoor producer licensees inspected. A lot of this, according to this little report here from the Ohio. When I keep saying Ohio, the Oregon state government. I see an O, I think Ohio. There's other O states. It's Oregon. Many of the licensees not in compliance had multiple deficiencies. Some of the most common were problems with cameras and surveillance coverage. Cameras didn't work, didn't provide proper coverage of the licensed premise, or surveillance footage wasn't recorded. Other common violations included data in the cannabis tracking system not matching plants or product discovered on the licensed premises, marijuana plants not tagged and entered into metric, the failure to provide the OLCC with harvest notification information, including unrecorded harvests. In other words, this 73%, I mean, it's hard telling how nitpicky they got with these violations and how big of a deal they are. Out of 354 people or licensees inspected, 41 had potential violations that could lead to cancellation of their licenses. That's a little over 10%, so that's not bad. Even if you take into account the nitpicky nature of some of this, like if there's not correct coverage for the security camera, all they have to do is maybe turn the camera a little bit or start recording more or recording all of it. I don't know. But that's what's going on in Oregon. Now we go all the way back across the country to recreational legalization in Massachusetts. What's going on there? Well, in the first 5 days, recreational marijuana sales topped $2.2 million in Massachusetts. This is according to the Cannabis Control Commission up in Massachusetts. A little over $2.2 million of sales happened in the first 5 days, along with 56,380 units, whatever a unit is. The biggest day in terms of money was the 23rd, November 23rd. The biggest day in terms of units was November 24th. Recreational marijuana became legal to sell on November 20th in 2 locations in Massachusetts. New England Treatment Access Northampton location and Cultivate in Leicester. Both locations are also medical marijuana dispensaries that were previously operating as such. They're the first legal recreational marijuana retailers east of the Mississippi. So, I mean, it's not, you really can't be surprised that legal marijuana is popular. I don't think anybody ever claimed that when marijuana was made legal in a certain jurisdiction or state or wherever, it's not going to be popular. There's already a built-in demand for it. There are people who are buying it illegally, and if the price is right and the quality is right and the convenience is right, well, they'll just start buying it legally because if all things being equal, they would rather buy it legally than buy it illegally. So, congratulations to Massachusetts. Only 2 shops now doing great business. There'll be more, obviously, and they need more because Massachusetts needs more supply. But good for them. Recreational legalization finally up and running in Massachusetts. Thanks, everybody, for checking out Cannabis News. Check us out at marijuanatimes.org. Thank you to Natureside, nature-side.com, and their organic, all-natural pesticides. Thank you for watching and liking and sharing and commenting on the videos. Please continue to do so, and we'll see you next time right here on Cannabis News.